rejection is protection. So making sure that you are attracting the right clients is definitely something that helped me in terms of growing the business and not getting upset when someone decides to go down a different path because that's okay. Because I've worked with some people that grow their business and they're pretty successful, and then they end up hating all the people that they work with.
hmm Who you invite into the circle of influence that you have in your business and your life really plays a critical role. The people you hear new thoughts from, perspectives, who you assist, who you help, it really all matters. Welcome to the Mindful Hustle, the show where inner work meets outer results. I'm Donnie, and if you feel called to do big things in business while staying true to your higher self, you're in the right place. Studies in cognitive neuroscience reveal that up to 95% of our actions and decisions are driven by subconscious identity patterns. So if your business isn't scaling, it's likely not your strategy, it's your self-concept. At Reality Realization Institute, we specialize in helping business owners rewire who they believe they are, where the results align automatically. You can book a free strategy session at realityrealization.org/call. All right, let's drop in and welcome today's guests. So today we have Joshua Krafchick, a man on a mission to redefine how Americans grow their wealth. After realizing that many financial advisors are more focused on sales than actual investing, Joshua set out to change the game. He made it his purpose to educate and empower others with real financial knowledge so they can build wealth with confidence, clarity, and control. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here, Donnie.
Was there a moment in your life or business when something just clicked and everything changed? Perhaps a mindset shift or a realization that really reshaped your path?
I would say if you have a really, really growth mindset, you never really feel like you're clicking because you always feel like you could do a little bit better, which could also be like a negative framework. It's like you're not giving yourself credit where credit could be due, like having some sort of negative mindset, be like, this could have been better, or I always could do a little bit more. However, when I started realizing a few things, one, rejection is protection. So making sure that you are attracting the right clients is definitely something that helped me in terms of growing the business and not getting upset when someone decides to go down a different path because that's okay. Because I've worked with some people that they grow their business and they're pretty successful, and then they end up hating all the people that they work with.
hmm Yeah, who you invite into the circle of influence that you have in your business and your life really plays a critical role. The people you hear new thoughts from, perspectives, who you assist, who you help, it really all matters.
You can't help everyone. Even if you do want to help everyone, you can't. It's just impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, since you have such a growth mindset and are on that continual journey, I'm curious, were there any moments during that path where you had a sense that there is a new form of perception or awareness that you gained?
Business or self improvement?
I'm interested in both.
Well, step one is you have to just do it. Most people never jump off the diving board into the deep end. Maybe you're scared.
hmm
So step one is doing it. Then, when you're in the situation such as, am I going to even have enough money to survive this month? You have to accept the situation, realize that you're like, hey, I'm in this moment right now. And what's really helped me is realize there are no problems. There's just situations and how to figure out how to battle through uncomfortable situations, such as running out of money or unsure if you made the right choice, and then just really accepting the challenge and working through it step by step rather than I think a lot of people are probably like, oh no, I'm going to run out of money. I give up.
hmm
I'm in this situation. what could I do to resolve this situation? You could do a lot of things to make some money if you really need to.
So really having the initiative in different aspects of life to move forward to kind of get to where you're going.
So I took a very analytical approach to things, like, 65% chance it could work. That means there's a 35% chance it could not work.
Uh-huh.
So I really taken like have you ever read the book?
Yeah.
Taken like that approach. I was like, if I really want something and I like tell the world and the universe, this is what I want, eventually I will get it. Get it. I don't know when, but you got to stay in the game in order to figure out when it could happen. The longer you stay in the game, the higher chance of success. But if you just play your game on easy mode and you keep beating it on easy mode versus increasing it to expert level and leveling up in the game, then you're just going to remain stagnant at staying on an easy level of whatever game you might be playing.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how do you also see this manifest in more of the expression of the personal? How do you see that reflect in your own life?
In terms of how like business and personal commingle with each other,
You mentioned how you can stay on the easy level, and that's basically the level where you're not really trying to grow or experiment, really expand your potential and reach out to have a new lease on life. But on the other hand, I was curious to know what that looked like in the personal journey. That's really like making the sales call or sending out the marketing metric, things you can do to kind of boost the chances of getting new clients. But how do you see that play out in your own life?
well, one of the main reasons wanted to create my own company is so that I could have the freedom to choose how I spend my days. So it wasn't 100% wealth driven.
Hmm.
Well, regardless of where you are in life, there's always problems or situations, and the situations change as you move through your life. So essentially, for me, it was how could I create a world where I'm able to choose how I spend my time and who I spend my time with? And that was the ultimate goal. And then from there, I figured if I have the time to choose and have the time to pick what I want to work on, then over the course of a lifetime, hopefully it'll work out if I have the right energy towards what I want to accomplish. So, like figuring out in terms of, hey, I really want to have an impact on educating people on the best ways to grow their wealth. How could I do that in a creative way to the masses, especially with social media? Now everyone has access to it. So, like, that's the biggest challenge is like, how, if you have a good message, how do you stay true to that message over time? And then how could you get that out to the right people so that they could find you and you don't remain a secret? Because if you have a good message and you don't share it with the world, you're essentially keeping a gift that you have from the world. So by not taking action, you're not sharing those gifts with the universe.
When you were going through your journey of basically creating the life that you desire, the one that felt true and real to you, were there any times when you faced perceptual challenges, worries? Like, do you have any stories to tell in that regard of like a moment that you had to really overcome and dive deep in? What allowed you to do that?
When I first got out of university, I moved to a new city, got a job, and my parents are divorced. So I decided to like, hey dad, I got a job in the city you live in. You said you've always wanted to live together. Could I come live with you for a little bit while I figure out this new world of adulthood? And I moved in and he ended up having a complete manic episode and I had to get out of there because he wouldn't get any help from anyone. So I was basically like living on my friend's couch. I then quit my first job out of college after 3 months. I have no job. I'm living on my friend's couch and I'm attempting to figure out what to do. I got like a couple $100 left. How am I going to figure it out? And eventually, I was just like, well, I'm gonna go get another job and go from there. So I mean, that's like one instance. Is like you graduate from school, you think like, hey, you work hard, you study these subjects, you're like, oh, it's gonna lead to a good job, and then you realize like, hey, the job market's not good right now. Everything that everyone told you when you go to school isn't coming true. I feel like people bamboozled you a little bit.
Hmm.
I mean, that's like one of many instances. There's other times when I first started out our investment firm and it was 2020. I worked really hard to build things up and I was staring at $1 million of losses
Wow.
for like people that like trusted me to like do well with their money because things were so bad. And then like three of like the top people that we had like pulled out because they didn't believe in me. And I didn't get negative. I realized I was like, all right, well, if these people don't believe in me, then I'm gonna do everything I can to like use it as motivation.
Hmm.
So not to be like petty, like it's like more of like motivation. Like, all right, you don't think I'm good enough for the job, so you fired me. I'm gonna show you.
Hmm.
I'm gonna make it in the future. A person's gonna come back and be like, yeah, I made a mistake. If someone doesn't believe in you, then that's probably not the right people to be in your circle anyway. So it's almost like a thank you. Thank you for saving me a future calamity.
Yeah.
Because if I was doing really well and they stuck around, it could have led to a bigger problem. So one of the books I attempt to read at least once a year talks about how you have to find the good in every single situation, regardless of how dark it may be.
Hmm. Yeah. I love that. Definitely can see the benefit for those listening to kind of take that perspective, like regardless of what experiences goes on, there's always the potential for it to become an opportunity in a way. And you just have to allow yourself to see from the angle where even if you might not see the good in it just yet, believing that there is a good in it will allow your subconscious mind to reach out and deliver that to you. And that really shifts the entire perspective you can have on things that can lead you to that growth path again. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, mindset is definitely something that you start to realize is what separates certain people in life, especially when it comes to finding different levels of success. The mindset is what separates those who could be pretty successful versus the people who just, man, how does that person just like everything just seems to fall in their lap? And they
Yeah.
don't have this belief. They are attracting the right opportunities. You can also be in a mindset and have an aura where you're attracting all of the wrong opportunities. And at this point in time, it could seem like I'm making sales, but you're attracting the wrong things and it's going to end up turning into a larger problem. You just may not see it yet because of where you are in terms of your psyche and what you are attempting to create or attempting to force into existence could be detrimental in the future, but you just don't see it yet.
What are you focused on right now? What excites you? What do you find meaningful in business right now?
Right now, the goal is the same, is to figure out how to become the best. I don't know what that looks like, but the goal is to be the best.
Hmm.
So that comes down to making sure I am putting resources into investing in technology, into having people help me, figuring out how to make decisions that may not be popular today. However, they could be good decisions 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. So
Hmm.
not just looking for quick gains or taking shortcuts. And sometimes it's painful not taking the shortcut, but the goal is not to make life easier today. The goal is to make life easier sometime in the future. So by remaining in the present moment and figuring out like, hey, how do I have to go through a little bit of a hurdle now so that I don't have to go through larger hurdles in the future is really what we're looking to accomplish and figure out how to get a good message out there, educating children about finances and figuring out in creative ways how to do that using like AI, like creating like kid songs around money and things like that. I always thinking like Bill Nye the Science Guy, but like money.
Yeah.
That I just don't know how to do those things because I know my limitations. So it's all about figuring out how to find the right people. And I had this thought a long time ago because I actually wrote 3 kids' books. They haven't sold or anything, but they're out there, and people are like, "Oh, that's so cool." I was like, "Well, have you bought one?" They're like, "No," but that's okay. And then I found a new client on accident who is in the gaming industry, and that's what he does for work. He was talking to me. He said he was possibly going to be working on a new Tomb Raider Lara Croft game or something.
Ooh,
So
nice.
like he does like all the visuals, and I talked to him about my idea. He's like, I like this idea because it could change the world, and those are the things that excite me.
Hmm.
We'll see if we're able to make some cool things happen.
I'm curious on that identity piece. Have you seen yourself growth in terms of the version of self that you're wanting to become to really achieve that future vision of being the best? Like, where are you at in terms of that development right now?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame,
Hmm.
and I believe you could become complacent. So it's all about having the self-awareness to know when you're getting a little complacent, be like, all right, you need to like stop slacking as much, or like you've been taking a couple of days off, you need to get back to work. I could be on the complete wrong path and I just don't know it yet, or I could be on the right path and I'm just not seeing the results, and I just need to continue doing the right things so that once I go down that path, I eventually end up in a magical place versus a very dark place.
Hmm.
And that all comes down to the decisions that you make in the present moment. Every decision is leading you down one path or the other, and that's going to help you attract either the right people or the wrong people into your life, and you may not even realize it.
So then, in that sense, on the path that you're on right now, what is the vision you have of who you're becoming? Like, what is it that you're aiming towards? Like, what does the best mean to you?
That's the thing. The vision is to be the best investment firm possible.
Hmm.
So, what does that look like? That means we have to make a very large impact on as many people as possible. So, the question that we need to solve is how do we do that? And how do we do that in a way where people enjoy it? Because you can come up with something, and if only, 10 people like it, it's not going to give you the sort of impact that you want. So, you have to figure out how to be creative so that it attracts as many people as possible. At the same time, though, you want to make sure you have he can make me a lot of money. Now you're just attracting people who just want to make a lot of money, and money is important. However, it's the things that money provides which is more important than just having a bunch of money in the bank, because I mean, you could see it time and time again. My wife works in like the psych mental health space, and she read like a report that someone was admitted to one of the hospitals that she works at, and they won the lottery, and they spent all their money on drugs,
Hmm.
because you get a lot of money, you don't know what to do, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Like most people that win the lottery lose all the money pretty fast. So a lot of people out there think, oh, if I had money, it would solve my problems. Well, if I gave you this much money, what would you do with it? So you
Yeah,
have to know what to do with it, because it's just a tool. There's people who have a lot less money than others and are able to do miraculous things compared to other people who just have everything handed to them.
definitely. It's the whole conversation on what's your thermometer at, in a sense. Like, those who win the lottery and lose it all, it's because they have the set beliefs, the set perception that what they have is fleeting. It's not a conversation around what can I use this for to create, to expand, to add to the betterment of myself and the world around me. This has been such a powerful conversation. Thank you for sharing so openly. Something I like to do at the end of these episodes is ask if you had to give one insight to business owners and creators out there trying to reach a new level of life while being fulfilled as they do it, what would you tell those out there?
What would I tell those out there?
Hmm.
If you're not willing to give up the things that aren't important for the things that are important, then you definitely have to rethink what you actually want out of life.
I like that. What a wonderful insight. Thank you for sharing it with the world.
Thank you, Donnie.
Before we wrap, Joshua, thanks again for sharing such amazing, real, and thoughtful insights. Where can the listeners connect with you and learn more about what you're doing right now?
You can just go to 369financial.com or your favorite social media platform.
Perfect. And to all of you tuning in, remember, you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. So if you want to change your results, start by becoming the version of you who already has them. Until next time, be bold, be intentional, and keep realizing your reality.